So today we are going to talk about a fantasy book and we're going to return to the Cosmere. So that means we're going to talk about a Brandon Sanderson book. And that book is The Sunlit Man. And this one I saw at the library. I picked it up. I'm going to be honest, I read the synopsis, sounded okay. So I didn't really have any hopes one way or another for it. I figured I'd like it because it's Brandon Sanderson and I tend to have liked most of what I've read by him so far. Okay, so this story follows the character named Nomad. And Nomad has just skipped, which is kind of, in my brain, teleported across space and time to a different planet because he's being pursued by these people in the Night Brigade. And the Night Brigade is after him because at one point in time, he had this thing called the Dawn Shard. And the Dawn Shard was this artifact that was a god killer. I guess they're still after where the location is of that today. So they pursue him across the galaxy and across time and space and all that crazy stuff. So he skips to this planet. And this planet he comes to is called Canticle. The sun there is deadly. And so the people of this planet spend every day basically outrunning the sun. They have floating cities and they have vehicles and they're constantly trying to stay in the shadow and out of the sun's way because it seems like the sunshine is basically nuclear and incinerates upon impact. The way that they kind of power the city is through these things called sun hearts. And you learn more about what those are when you get into the story and how they work. And there seems to be things on the planet that shouldn't be with how typical things work on different planets, such as where lava comes up in the earth or how the plates are shifting and all that stuff. So I found that really interesting. And it kind of reminded me of the Fire Planet from Star Wars. I don't know why I didn't think I was going to maybe like this as much because I don't know why I thought the synopsis sounded kind of meh. But when I read it, I really thought it sounded kind of meh. So I'm glad that I was proved wrong. So this book was part of Brandon Sanderson's Secret Projects, which was part of the 2022 Kickstarter, where he had this book, Trust of the Emerald Sea, which I've read. Also, it's the Wizard's Guide to Surviving Medieval England or New England or something along those lines. I'm getting that title super wrong. When I figure out what the actual title is, I'll put it down here somewhere. And then there's Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. And that's the only one I haven't read yet that was in the Secret Project series. I still don't know why I thought the synopsis just didn't sound that good. Okay, trying to outrun the sunshine and trying to hide from the Night Brigade. And then you come onto this planet, you have this guy, the Cinder King, who's kind of like this evil sack of crap. And he basically is very murderous. You have this other section of people who are the Rebel Alliance, let's be honest, if we're thinking in terms of Star Wars here. You have these other people who are just trying to survive and stay out of this guy's way, but they also are trying to rescue their people that the Cinder King keeps taking and murdering. And the ones he doesn't murder, he uses this weird spear and turns them into his charred warriors. And that is basically what happens when he stabs them in the heart. Their chest peels open, and then there's just this glowing ember where their heart used to be, and they're basically kind of his little minions at that point. So you have that, and so you have this other faction of people that are trying to outrun them. And so Nomad pops in, and all of a sudden the sun is coming, and somehow he figures out really quickly that this is going to burn him up and incinerate him if he stays in there. And there's all these people just kind of as prisoners that are going to be left in the sun to be incinerated. Well, he ends up escaping because he hops onto one of the bad dudes' hovercrafts or whatever it is. And there's also a thing too where they can't fly that high on the vehicles that they have, so they never really fly that high off the ground. And they also have, there's a lot of weird stuff with the topography of the planet too. In certain areas there's mountains, but they can't get up over the mountains because their ships won't fly up over them. And so there's different corridors on this planet that are not passable. The rotation of the sun happens, and it's a shorter rotation than on our Earth. I think it's shorter than 24 hours. So constantly have to be moving and running away from this. So Nomad pops into this planet. He has to decide if he's going to fall in line with the Cinder King And he also has this weapon, but it's not really a weapon with his torment. He's not allowed to make like weapons that will kill. He can only make like useful tools. And it's called auxiliary. And auxiliary was, I don't know, once a friend of his, but now it's just like their consciousness that's connected to it, and that he can have it form different shapes and whatnot. Then, so the other faction of people that are trying to run away from the Cinder King and are just trying to exist, they want a peaceful existence. They don't want to have to fight for their lives all the time. And so Nomad comes into the picture, and he ends up talking with both factions, and it's like, which way will he go? Apparently he had been kind of like only caring about himself and not really caring about other people, what's going to benefit him. So the big questions are, will he have a change of heart, or will he go with the Cinder King and whatnot? And it was a really great story. An addictive read as only Brandon Sanderson can do. Like, this one gave me a book hangover. And the problem with these book hangovers is that after that, I literally didn't have 3 books. And it's probably not those books' fault, and maybe I would have even liked them. But when you read a book that good, everything like just falls short in the interim after that. Like, Stephen King will do that to me too. Anyway, the character development was great. The story was great. The pace was awesome. Like, never a dull moment, because you're constantly trying to outrun the sun and you're like, what's gonna happen with these people? Will Nomad do the noble thing, or will he do the unnoble thing? What hope do these people even have to survive? And is there something they could do where they're not constantly running from the sun? And how did they even come to this planet? Why are they there? Like, how have these people survived all these years while the sun is basically chasing them on this murderous planet? So not only do you have these murderous people, you have the murderous sun. And it's crazy. And it's a great story. And it's so good. I love the beginning, the middle, and the end. I was so wrong about what I thought about the synopsis. And maybe if you read the synopsis, you might find it sounds good. I just thought it sounded like eh. I just picked it up because literally I like him as an author. And he did not fail to disappoint. And then the ending goes in the way that leaves the possibility of, you know, a new book in the future. So I don't think if there was anything I didn't like about this. I really don't think there was. I think I liked pretty much everything about this book. If you like fantasy, if you like Brandon Sanderson, if you like really fast-paced books where you're trying to outrun the sun because it might kill you, I would highly recommend this. And if you are a Brandon Sanderson fan, the next video coming up will be about a Brandon Sanderson book. So stick around, check it out. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.